And a group of lawmakers under the name Like Minds has dismissed insinuations of rancor within the ranks of members of the House of Representatives following the appointments of chairmen and deputies of the 134 standing committees announced by the Speaker on Thursday. The lawmakers, led by the Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Downstream, Uogchinyere, were briefing journalists at the National Assembly, said the composition of the committee was rightly done with the Speaker putting the national interest and the interest of members above any personal or pecuniary interest. He said the Speaker even went ahead to appoint some of those that opposed this emergence as Speaker as chairman of committees.
We're happy where we are at this point. We know Nigerians will be better off at the end of 4 years. What is most important to us is nation building, the unity of this nation, and how we can progress as a nation. I remember there was something the President, Uogchinyere Bola Ahmed, said, when making critical decisions for the progress of our nation, we should expect painful decisions. So I know that the people may not be in the best place as of now, but we are very hopeful that with the crop of the leadership we have in the legislative arm of government and the executive arm of government, Nigeria would definitely be better off.
He was able to marry all these interests to ensure that different interests are well respected, represented in the composition. There's other avenues for people to contribute to the legislative growth of the country. And that opportunity, he assured us from the beginning, and from what he has done, he has started living up to those expectations. So majority of members in this parliament are commending the leadership of the 10th House of Representatives. So the parliament is now more united than ever. We saw a composition that cuts across different interests, including those who fought him or those who didn't even agree with him. There was no winner, there was no victor, there was no vanquished. And I also want to urge Nigerians to help to the over-dramatization, over-classification of these committees, as if to say it's a business. These are for national responsibility. It's not about making money or anything. There will be teamwork, joint sittings on investigative hearing, joint sittings in budget defense. So the country is not going to lose money because we have resolved that for nation building to work, there must be joint tax.
All right, joining us now to look at this issue is the lawmaker representing Idiato South and North Federal Constituency of Imo State, Uogchinyere. He's also the chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources. Very warm welcome to Newsnight. Tell us, the rancor, the brickbats, and the rest, 134 committees, that's against 369 members. Isn't that bogus?
Well, it's not bogus. What you have is a strong division of responsibilities to be able to allow members get to details. In the past, we have things muddled up even during the budget examination because of the time frame. Now we have divisions that will allow members look at all these items detail by detail. And also, more importantly, to have a robust and effective oversight function. So that's why we were elected in the first place, to get this job to be done. So I don't think it's much. I don't think it's going to affect the workings of the parliament. Rather, it's going to make it effective and efficient.
So why the rancor? Some people are grumbling. Is it because they didn't get what some Nigerians would call the juicy, chairmanship positions and the rest?
I think it's the media that keeps over-dramatizing the issue of classification. Call to service has no juicy and non-juicy. It's called to service. That's why you're elected. That's why you took that oath to serve, no matter wherever you find yourself. And there's no rancor. I think you have a big family, 360. That's a large number, competing for the same interest and with a common objective to serve the people. Definitely, I would tell you that not everybody will feel so be in a celebrating mood because of the composition. But I can tell you that majority of the lawmakers, if not almost 100% of the lawmakers, I agree that this was a heavy burden on the Speaker, and then he discharged it effectively. Because if you look at the composition, you can see that there was no winner, there was no loser, even in terms of the pre-election stage. If you look at one of the key contenders, Betera, from Northeast, was given the FCT chairmanship. If you look at another contender, Wase was given a Federal Character Commission. As a matter of fact, I was even told that he preferred that as well. And then you look at Jaji, is also ecological fund. You look at Gadi, who also challenged him. He was also returned to Navy.
In your submission, you just said some members are not happy
no,
because of the committees they were given, right?
I said, like the speaker said, this is a human process. You don't expect 100%, how would I put it,
harmony.
Happiness.
Yeah.
But that has, fizzled away. But you have, competence, fairness, equitable distribution. If you look at the Southwest, you have Alabi heading works. If you look at the Northwest, you have Bichi, very competent, heading appropriation. You look at Southeast, you have Noli heading Ports and Harbour. You have Professor Lillian Orogu from Oka heading corporate social responsibility and corporate services. You look at Mahombo Self from downstream. You look at Adodogowa heading upstream. You look at Uogchinyere Odi, my brother from South Benin, heading midstream. Then you look at public accounts. You look at almost, you can even Miriam from Imo heading TET Fund. So there was spread. There was even the new members were taken care of. The new old members were also taken care of. Across all tribes and religion, the speaker did justice. But like I said before, it was a big tax. But I can tell you that members from yesterday in our WhatsApp forum have started giving the speaker a strong vote of confidence because he did very well in trying to carry all the competing interests along. Yes.
Yeah, but one other committee, or one of the new committees never known in the history of the National Assembly, is that Committee on Youths in the Assembly. What are they supposed to be doing? What's the relevance of that?
If you remember when we advocated for Not Too Young to Run bill, it was all focusing on getting young people involved in the decision and elective process. And that started yielding deserved results across all the state assemblies where you can see young people presiding, young people as governors, deputy governors, and young people now populating the parliament at different levels. And now the speaker believes that there is need to increase that advocacy of increasing the participation of young people in the political process. And that is why you have the youth in parliament, which is like the Not Too Young to Run, to continue to push that frontiers of that advocacy to get more young people involved in decision-making, not just in the parliament, but in all levels of governance.
Who would they be oversighting? The Ministry of Youth Development and
everything is not just about oversighting. There's also legislative policy issues.
But that's a key function of the legislature.
Of course, and also that advocacy and representation of the interests of the people, which is also getting young people involved in decision-making process, which will yield positive result for the good governance of the country, is also very important. So their jobs will overlap in different sectors as well, not just in the parliament, but even in the executive and all those policy issues that will help to get young people involved in the democratic process, not just only in the parliament.
Okay, that's really great to know. I mean, it's a way to propel further, engaging the Nigerian youth in leadership positions at various levels. What do you say when some Nigerians who criticize lawmakers that when they go for oversight functions, what they do, going to the ministries and the rest, is to ask for gratifications, pecuniary rewards, budget padding, and the rest. You're a first-timer, and I know as an activist, we don't know if you're still going to bring that kind of activism into your parliamentary functions. All these were in the public space then.
If you listen to Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, that is the speech before the announcement of the committee, he issued a strong warning and a strong order that things are not going to be done the way it is done in the past. And like I said before, I don't think any member of the 10th Assembly will reduce himself to get to the level of turning oversight as an opportunity to enrich his pockets. But all I can tell you is that we are mindful of the integrity of the parliament and the need for transparency, which in the coming days, like Abbas has also promised, we are going to pursue the Open NAS project aggressively. So definitely those issues that happened in the past, possibly maybe at the earlier stage of 2003 or thereabout, but from the 9th to the 10th, such incidents, I can assure you, will not be.
No budget padding.
Yes, no. And when you talk about, of course, there will be no budget padding. Everything will be appropriated in accordance with the law.
I thought they did that before, but we'll still have the budgets padded.
I think that's all about, I think it's about the language here now. Because somebody who has a right to make a document or amend a document for the interest of the people of Nigeria cannot actually be pardoned what is in his custody. For instance, I represent the people of Idato. Definitely, I will be pushing the frontiers to ensure that my Uogchinyere, Akokwa, Lu Road that has cut off is included in the budget, lobbying, negotiation, reaching out. So I don't think that is pardon. Pardon sounds like a criminal, whereby maybe when the process is completed, somebody tries to slot him. But if it is at the level of competitive legislative discourse, these projects are included, I think is legitimate and within the ambit of law. If not, how do we effectively represent the people that elected us?
Let's quickly look at Constituency project. It's generated since 1999 very heated arguments in Nigeria's public space, and the electorate haven't seen so much, delivered to them in that area, because some of the legislators are the contractors and executors of what are supposed to be constituency projects in their areas. How is the 10th House of Representatives going to checkmate this?
It's actually called the zonal intervention projects. And if you remember,
the nomenclature has changed now?
No, I think it's what has been called. I think it's the media that always like to use that. But the zonal intervention project cited most times in most of those constituencies. But now, coming to the issue of the reform, that's why I told you. The Abbas and Ben Kalule leadership have brought so much reform. Part of it is that we have strengthened the Constituency Outreach Committee that will monitor the implementation of this constituency project. We have also established a committee for monitoring, evaluation of activities of members and these projects to ensure that these projects are actually cited in those constituencies that they have been appropriated for. And also we are working with the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. They have a division now that we need to also support and strengthen to ensure that these projects are tracked to the last location where it's supposed to be. So there's a lot of reforms that the Speaker is putting in place. And I will tell you that even the budget envelope for it is not sustainable enough to be able to leave lasting impact, because you can see some of these projects split around 15 million, 10 million, 20 million, maybe solar water, borehole, and so on, all aimed at finding a way to get government closer to the people. And part of the problem is the misconception that the people develop over the years of, instead of encouraging lawmakers to focus on their core responsibility of making laws, oversight, and representation, they started pushing them to say, how many projects did you do? How many projects did you bring down? Forgetting that the lawmaker is not a contractor. It is that pressure on lawmakers to go and construct road, to go and drill water bore, that was not primarily their major responsibility, that brought about the pressure of zonal intervention projects. Some lawmakers that lost their election was because people say, oh, you didn't bring road, you didn't bring water. Forgetting they are supposed to hold responsible their governor and the local government system that most of these governors have bastardized, which if they are functioning, there would have not been any need for all those zonal intervention projects, because local government would have taken care of health, sanitary issues, water borehole issue, rural education, and so on and so on. Now they are leaving those responsibilities for lawmakers. And that is why lawmakers are having divided attention on balancing on issues of legislation, issues of appropriation, and issues of finding a way to get water in their village and get road in their village.
What ways are you finding to say no to the 70 billion naira that is already earmarked for members of the National Assembly as vehicular allowances, another 40 billion naira to principal officers of the National Assembly? Humongous amounts, 110 billion just for lawmakers. How many of you?
I'm on the issue of the 70 billion. Yeah. I think it's about the information flow on it. First of all, there was backlog of areas by National Assembly staffs, both heirs and so on and so forth, that has spanned over a period of over 7-8 years. And they were talking about palliative. Most of those people also having the same transport issues that every other ordinary Nigerians are having. And that was why they were also included. And more importantly, the issue of the vehicle, which has been a contentious issue that keeps coming up and so on and so forth. You need to understand that those vehicles does not belong to those lawmakers. As a matter of fact, if you want to go with those vehicles, you have to pay back to the National Assembly. So I feel that these things...
The value after 4 years.
Yeah, the value after 4 years. I think these things were not break down very well for
Why
people
would
to
they
understand.
be needing vehicles? Will you tell me that there are lawmakers in the National Assembly, when you look at the amount of financial expenditure in your campaigns, that would say he does not have a vehicle?
I know. So
I mean, we're talking of prudence of
yes,
governance.
prudence. I agree with you. I understand the concern. But because there is a lot of activities they have to carry out as have to do with oversight functions. And that is why they said, okay, let's have these vehicles to enable them do their constituency movement. And at the end of the day, they will pay for these vehicles if they want to go with
vehicles,
it.
SUVs, and they are going to be imported.
Those ones are not bulletproof vehicles. Those ones are normal, basic vehicles.
And they are going to be imported. They are not patronizing. You're not patronizing the local assemblies in Kaduna and in Oka.
I don't think that contracts have been awarded. More importantly, is the responsibility of people in, I think, management and house services. So I will not have the details about those transactions here.
All right, thank you so very much. Ikenga Uogchinyere, member representing Idiato Federal Constituency of Imo State. I think it's Idiato North.
Idiato North, Idiato South.
Yes.
That our road have caught now.
And chairman
Yes.
downstream committee of the House of Representatives.